Yo, what's good up? What's good, everybody? This is Marcus DFD here. And I know I'm doing this live at a weird time. I'm sitting here looking at the counter because I was just about to curse. And YouTube got this whole cursing monetization thing, first 5 seconds. But I know I'm starting this live at a real awkward time. And, everybody probably wondering if you're tuning in and you normally tune into the channel, why is this dude on so damn late? But essentially, there are a lot of finance topics and things that happen out there that are just good points of discussion. But you can't create well, you probably could if you just got a bunch of time on your hand and you like do this full time. And there's so much stuff that you want to talk about that you really can't. So I said, you know what? When I'm up recording stuff, making that long form content, I'm gonna just go ahead, jump on, talk about whatever topics I want to talk about. So today's video, we're going to talk about and discuss three finance topics. I'm always giving up the disclaimer. Yo, I'm a licensed attorney, not your attorney, not legal or financial advice, just giving my opinion and takes on finance topics and letting y'all know what we got going on at the household of the debt-free dad. I know it's wild. I got on a V-neck. I don't even got on a merch shirt. So, okay, first topic we're going to talk about is something that's a little bit light. We just going to talk about minimum wage, the impact on minimum wage, and hey, is everybody going to be replaced by robots someday? Second topic we're going to dive into is Cardi B. Cardi B had a nice little Twitter rant where she was just talking about the price of groceries. And she is completely right when she's talking about inflation. But we're going to dive a little bit deeper into inflation. And we're going to talk about the wild thing is she getting good and negative backlash because of her comments about inflation. So we're going to dive into that. The last topic is probably going to be the most interesting topic. I actually just saw this before I logged on. Excuse me, I actually just saw this before I logged on, but a rapper on Love and Hip Hop New York. I don't even know who this brother is. I think his name is Fresher or something to that effect. But essentially, his fiance ridiculed him and dragged him on social media because she called him a broke boy. She said he got broke boy tendencies because he doesn't want to spend 250K for a wedding. Now, of course, I got my own thoughts and opinions about that. We're going to dive into it. Okay, first thing first, I put out a short video today, and it was about something that's, I don't know, some people think is beneficial, some think is going down the road to just complete financial instability. But in January of 2023, the first day, 23 states have increased their minimum wage. Some of those increases, what's good, sis? I appreciate you tuning in this late night. It's late for me, old guys being up this late if I'm not out specifically. Yeah. Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And so, the first thing is January 1st, 23 states have actually increased their minimum wage. Now, the increase range from 23 cents to $1.50. So, I mean, I saw Florida on the list, some East Coast states on the list, a few West Coast, Midwest states. I'm not going to dive into all of that. But it was interesting because I posted a short today about minimum wage being increased. And it's wild because it kind of got mixed feedback. Some people are on the side of minimum wage should be increased because people need high wages. We know wages in general don't keep up with inflation. If inflation is up 8% this year, you should presumably get an 8% raise to keep up with the cost of living. But we know that don't happen. And it damn sure isn't happening with minimum wage, right? So some people think it's good that people are getting this increased minimum wage. Some people think it's bad. I don't know. I tend to fall on the side that it's probably more good than bad, but there's only so much that you can actually increase minimum wage before it becomes detrimental. And I say that because I put out another video about a week ago where I think it was Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, they had the first 100% fully automated McDonald's, right? And when I put that video up, it was interesting because most people fell on the side of, oh no, nah, we need employees, we need people to be working. But they was like machines break and maintenance costs and insurance and parts. And I was like, hey, that is true. Machines do break, but machines don't need health care. Machines don't need benefits. Machines don't need to get paid extra for overtime. Machines don't need a physical boss or supervisor. Machines don't get sick. Machines don't make mistakes and put cheese on outside of the bread when you order your sandwich from McDonald's. That happened a long time ago, back when your boy used to actually eat McDonald's. So the one of the arguments that people had with increased minimum wages, which is true, it can only go so high. If you increase minimum wage to the point where it's $25 or $30, the economy just going to be in shambles. But there are some pros to minimum wage being increased. And right now, I don't think minimum wage is at a point where it's going to create this big economic imbalance because one, people need to get wages. And so a lot of people were saying in the comments that minimum wage jobs are designed for students, people just entering the workforce, and retirees who just want to supplement their income. Minimum wage jobs were never designed to be something that you should be able to sustain your lifestyle. And whether that's true or not, the bottom line is that this is the bottom line. The bottom line is that whatever you think that the purpose of minimum wage was, is cats out there who work in minimum wage who rely solely on jobs like that to survive. And so when you increase the minimum wage, let's just be honest, let's keep it a buck. Most people who work at a fast food restaurant or something to that effect, if you get an increase in your minimum wage job, all you're going to do is put that money back into the economy. I don't see a lot of people who have minimum wage jobs. I don't see a lot of people who have minimum wage jobs because they don't have the economic resources. So they aren't going to be saving it and investing it. I mean, hell, we're gonna talk about what Cardi B was dealing with inflation and her talking points. But the bottom line is the price of everything is going up. So if instead of $12 an hour, I pay you $14 an hour, that extra $2, all you're gonna do is use that to live. You're gonna put that back in the economy. You're gonna buy your groceries, your gas, your school clothes for your kids. So that's kind of my standpoint, my take on this whole thing. I don't think increasing the minimum wage is a bad thing. Now, like I said, at some point it'll get to, if 20 years from now people are like, hey, we need to increase minimum wage to $37, like, hey, it'll be completely crazy. But I don't think we're at that point right now. I think there's more good than bad. I think that bosses are going to do what bosses are going to do. If I own a McDonald's franchise, I would seriously consider having a fully automated McDonald's with maybe one or two staff members working shifts instead of having 9 employees there. Because the bottom line for somebody as a CEO, as a boss, is not about convenience for the employee, it's about profit. And hey, if you got a workforce that can be a full-time 24/7 workforce, never get tired with maintenance, and you can have maintenance contracts and insurance, it's probably going to be a little bit more lucrative for the CEOs to have the full automation as opposed to hiring a bunch of staff. They may slip and fall at work. Now you got to pay them compensation and unemployment insurance and all of this stuff, school benefits. I mean, for greedy CEOs, if I were a CEO, I would be like, man, them machines, those machine car washers, I'd rather have those than have a bunch of goofies out here half doing their job. But that's just kind of my take on it. Thoughts differ, but at the end of the day, I think it's overall a good thing that minimum wage increased in 23 states effective January 1st. So y'all make sure y'all Google it and check it out, see what it is, if it applied in your area. Definitely more good than bad, in my opinion. All right, next up, we're gonna jump on this Cardi B topic. All right, and I'm gonna go ahead. Let me pull up her actual Twitter. Let me pull up her actual Twitter response. Let's see. Mm. All right, so we got our actual Twitter page up right now, and this is interesting because you see this post right here from January 3rd. It's like, nah, grocery shopping prices are ridiculous right now. You might as well eat outside. So hey, I'm assuming she's saying you might as well eat outside at restaurants. Which I'm gonna be honest, I kind of broke down the numbers depending on what restaurants you're eating at. If you are eating at high price exclusive restaurants, it could damn near balance out for you to eat out versus purchasing groceries. But she started off with these rants. You see another one that says, "Bitch, why lettuce cost $6 where I live at?" One, that's high as hell for lettuce, but she probably stayed. She probably stay. I'm sure she stay in some affluent ass neighborhood where stuff is probably extra expensive. But let's take a listen to her rant real quick. Let me rewind this back. Then we're gonna talk a little bit about inflation.
Tell you something. When I be complaining about food prices, and y'all motherfuckers be like, "Ain't you rich? Why you complaining about that? Why you complaining about this?" That just goes to show me when you become successful, when you have money, you're gonna go broke soon because y'all not budgeting. I get a summary of the money that's being spent in my home every week. So when I'm starting to see that like groceries is like tripling up, it's like, hey, yo, what the fuck is going on? I want to see for myself what the fuck shit is being spent on. And like when I go to the fucking supermarket, like I went to the supermarket, I'm seeing that everything tripled up. That like lettuce was like $2 a couple of months ago, and now it's like fucking seven. Of course, I'm gonna say something. The fuck? Because if I think that shit is crazy, I can only imagine what middle class people or people in the hood is motherfucking thinking. So yes, I'm going to say something. The fuck? And I have a big platform, so I do want anybody that's responsible of these fucking prices to put that shit the fuck down. They won't see my shit, they might put it down. So shut the. Let me tell you something. When I be complaining about food prices,
All right, so that was her little rant on food prices. Now this video is wild, and I think is actually interesting because this video is getting some real mixed feedback. You know what I mean? Some cats. Oh yeah, the machines was cooking and everything. Check out I put a short on YouTube, also on my TikTok channel, and yeah, man, they had the machines flipping the burgers, pouring the shakes, the whole nine. The machine was doing everything. You pull up to the drive-through, scan your order barcode, and when you pull up to the window, the machine would slide out your whole little value meal. And I was like, hey, that's kind of dope. It's kind of dope. Now, the machine could also go ballistic and start slinging milkshakes 50 miles an hour. But hey, at this point, they appeared to be functioning properly. Now, this Cardi B video was interesting because she got a lot of flack for it. Like, uh, that's that's cool. You got some good holistic neighbors who I know that's real talk. I want to do like a little patio garden where I just grow like my herbs and other stuff out there. But she got a lot of flack for this video because the first thing that a lot of people were saying was like they I don't know. I think I don't know. I think just in general, people kind of frown on wealthy people. Like if a wealthy person say something, even if it could make sense, they like, man, nobody want to hear from you. You rich, because in that video she was like, oh, I get a list of all my expenses at the end of the week. But she had some good gems. She talked about, hey, yo, you got a budget. She talked about the cost of all the groceries and everything going up. But she got a lot of flack. Or, I'm gonna be honest. I personally think if you got a platform and hey, you a multi-millionaire and you can say anything that'll benefit the majority of people, the middle class people, hey, kudos to you because I mean she could be sitting in her mountaintop, her palatial estate somewhere with some glasses on, just just looking down on us. But the fact that she actually said something on her platform, that video had like 5 million views. I thought it was dope. Now, I know this is probably, I don't know. Let me know, sis. Is this a social media faux pas? But I did a video a couple weeks ago, and then a couple weeks, maybe about 3 months ago, sometime late last year, and it was about the cost of inflation. So Cardi B's going on a rant about how hot letters are, and we all see that shit. I lie to you now. I went to go buy like a big ass bag of like Tostitos because I wanted to make some nachos, and I didn't feel like stripping the tortillas and making my own damn nachos. So I went to go buy a big ass bag of Tostitos. It was $9. Of course, I didn't buy it, but the price on the bag was $9. And I'm in DC, so yeah, it's high. But $9 for some chips? Come on, fam. $9. That's utterly insane. So when you talk about goods and services, there's three costs that go into it because Cardi is right on the button with this one. Everything is going up. You got a budget. I don't give a damn how much money you got, or you gonna go broke. And the third thing she said in that video that she was actually right about was She said something to the extent of, if I could say something on my platform to make them lower the prices, that would be dope. And a lot of people probably think like, how, how could Cardi B and her platform cause people to lower prices? Well, I'm gonna talk a little bit about that because it could actually happen because grocery stores are really monopolized. It's only about 4 or 5 corporations who control every damn grocery store in the United States. So we definitely got to think about it in that context. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. But I mean, a lot of the scholarships and grants will just adjust. I mean, if companies are making a switch because minimum wage is getting too high, so we not having employees, we gonna have machines. There's gonna be a lot more scholarships for engineers and people who can do those type of jobs. Because exactly, that's what I did. Because if it would have been 450, I was gonna buy them. When I saw $9, I was like, nah, let me go ahead and make let me go ahead and make these drinks up myself. But when you're talking about any goods and inflation, this is what you generally think. Okay, if milk costs $3 a gallon and inflation is 10%, you expect the cost of that milk to go up to, $3.30. Else, 10% of that's what you expect. That's what the expectation is. But what happens is three costs get built into goods. You got the actual cost of employees, you got the cost of all the other stuff, storage, shipment, preserving the goods. Then the third cost, which is the most important cost, is the profits. Oh yes, profits is always the most important cost to anything. So I want to play this video clip. I know it might be a YouTube faux pas to play a video clip of something that you did before, but it's still relevant. And I didn't want to pull out all the visuals because it was just too difficult to do. So it was a lot easier to play this clip. I think a better way is for her to open up a chain of grocery stores and compete. Let's really see what you're about. I agree. It's I agree because that's the Dame Dash mentality, right? And Dame Dash always get a lot of flack for when he talk about bossing up and entrepreneurship. But Dame Dash, his whole point, which I agree with, is we have to have our own. Why do we have to exactly what you're saying? Why do I have to put a video out on social media to to complain about prices with the hopes that a bunch of CEOs who probably don't give a damn about nobody are going to reduce prices when I got enough resources to open my own. You hear Dame Dash. Dame Dash tells a story once about how he tried to buy an NFL team in a partnership with a collective group, and they had the money, but they didn't have the votes. And so they asked him now, "Do you want to own an NFL team?" He's like, "No." He's creating his own sports league. He wants to own his own TV company, his own TV production studio, not just have a TV show. So I definitely agree. When you got the resources, the best thing you can do is put those goods and services in the marketplace. And so, we talk about those three costs with inflation: the cost to pay for the people who dealing with the goods, the actual cost of storage and everything related to the goods, and then the actual profits. Now, this is interesting. I'm gonna play this, but I want y'all to check this out because if inflation is 7, 8, 9, 10%, whatever it is, the cost of the stuff that we're buying in stores should only go up 10%, maybe 12 or 14% if they wanted to peel an extra little cheese, an extra little profit off the top. I would understand that. That's business. That's the name of the game, is about profits. So if the extra cost of inflation was added, plus a couple of percentage points to get some extra capital in, that would make sense. But I want y'all to take a look at the numbers of local grocery stores, right? And the profits that they've made since the pandemic. And again, I know I'm probably violating the rule where you don't do a live stream and show a video of you talking about something, but these numbers were still relevant, and I wasn't pulling up these old visuals. It was just too much work. So let's go ahead and pull it up. It's only about a two clips, maybe about 3 minutes. All right. Okay, the first grocery store numbers and data points we're gonna look at. Let's turn this up. Albertsons. Now, I'm just looking. I pull random grocery stores. I never seen the damn Albertsons. It may be something out in the West Coast. But here are a look at Albertsons profits. Okay, Albertsons grocery store net income has increased 192% since 2019. So sales came in at 54.5 billion for the first 9 months of 2020. Next up, we have Publix. Publix has showed sales of 35.4 billion in the first 9 months of 2021, up 25% from the 28.4 billion that occurred in pre-pandemic times in 2019. And last, we're going to take a look at Kroger's. Okay, Kroger's 104.8 billion in sales the first 3 quarters in 2021, up over 12% from pre-pandemic levels in 2019. Okay, now that all right, so so when we talk about Cardi B and her rant on groceries, her rant is completely valid because when you hear those numbers, you can see the 100+% profits that grocery stores have been making since the pandemic. To make profits like that, you're stacking some extra stuff on top of inflation. And no, I know y'all probably like, well, people just buying more because people were probably hoarding in 2020 and 2021. But no, I'm gonna go back to that video real quick because this is still relevant. And there's gonna be a quote from a CEO of a company who's talking about because of inflation, they can use inflation to make additional profits and just blaming it on inflation. Which is, I mean, it's a cold game, but hey, that's kind of the name of the game. So let me run this clip real quick. Read you a quote that I found from a CEO, which is going to be very interesting. Let me go ahead and find it so I can pull it up. At a September 20th investor event, Iron Mountain Incorporated CEO Will Meany explained that where we've had inflation running at a fairly rapid rate, we're able to price ahead of inflation. That is, increases prices at a greater rate than the high recent rates of inflation. As Meany put it, raising prices obviously covers our increased costs, but a lot of it flows down to the bottom line. He also noted that this didn't just apply to his company. People are seeing what FedEx, UPS, and others are having to do to actually manage their business and pass on that inflation. Big wig CEO who just flat out said, like, hey, we can, hey, even though inflation is there, we can price up over inflation and capitalize on that bottom line, which we just saw because, like I said, one grocery store had a 192% increase in profits from 2019 to current, which is freaking ridiculous. The second part of that quote, so let me pull that up. It says, for that reason, Meany has long been doing my inflation dance, praying for inflation. So that video and quote was really interesting, and I think that video was really interesting because it just goes to show that Cardi is completely right about inflation, but costs aren't rising for goods solely because inflation. Costs are rising because people want to line their pockets. This is an opportunity to take advantage of the market. You got inflation, so I'm going to up cost everything past inflation because all that extra money is just going to go in my pocket. Now, that's the thing. What can be done to really curb inflation from this standpoint is actually an interesting discussion. I know everybody talk about raise interest rates. And yeah, I guess historically raising interest rates would cause inflation to go down, but this is a different type of inflation. This is an inflation that was created because of a pandemic, because people just stopped going outside and stopped participating in the economy. And raising interest rates isn't making a desired effect because people still shopping. Typically if you raise interest rates, people aren't shopping as much, so inflation goes down. But everybody's still going on vacations. Everybody's still doing employment is at high rates. That's why the Fed's trying to reduce employment. So it's interesting, but hey, Cardi's point is 100% accurate. The cost of everything is going up. Especially, it's funny because lettuce. Apparently, where they have somewhere in California where they grow a bunch of lettuce, they had some type of insect viral thing that damaged the crops of lettuce. Then bird flu, the avian flu, is costing the price of eggs to like quadruple from where it was at this time last year. So it's probably going to be more of the same. But hey, is there more she can do to address this issue? Yeah, but the fact that she even says something about it, and it is a benefit. It does put folks on notice because, like I said, all those grocery stores that we got out there, they're only owned by a collective of about 5 to 7 corporations. It's not a bunch of diversity when you go to Publix, Giants, Whole Foods, because it's 3 companies who kind of control everything. That's just kind of how the game is run. All right, so this next discussion topic is going to be interesting, and I really just saw this. Like, I really just saw this. I have no clue who this guy is, but it was a clip that was just trending that someone sent to me about a rapper who's on Love and Hip Hop New York. I think his name is, and I don't know if his name is Fresher or something to that effect, or how it's pronounced. But we're gonna go through, talk about this article, talk about it. Black man accused of broke people behavior for not spending $250,000 on wedding sparks debate. And I'm sure after we read this, y'all gonna know exactly where the hell I fall on this discussion. A recent clip from Love and Hip Hop New York, in which a cast member accuses her fiance of broke people behavior because he doesn't want to spend 250 racks on their wedding, has people weighing in. During the 58-second snippet, Brooklyn based rapper Fresher and his fiance, Jen Coriano, are arguing about how much she wants him to spend on their wedding. The clip starts with Jen saying, "I deserve to be somebody's wife," in a confessional scene. Then cuts to the two having a conversation. $250,000, the type of wedding you want, that's how much it costs. You're bugging the fuck out. We're going to invest that, Fresher says to Jen. He follows up in a confessional saying, "My job as a man is to hold the household down, and she hasn't worked in years. I'm not spending $250,000 on a wedding. I'm not doing it." The scene cut back to the couple as his fiance says, "So you have no plans on getting married?" Fresher says he does, but suggests they should go to City Hall. Excuse me, this is interesting right here. I'm not a City Hall bitch. I'm not a City Hall bitch. Stop saying City Hall because your ass about to get left. Like, I'm telling you right now, that's what she responded, and it says that she yelled, and it's funny. This is hilarious. "Love ain't enough. How long you plan on being broke?" She continues, to which Fresher responds, "Watch your mouth. That's not broke. That's smart." So so let's talk about this a little bit, because I thought that this was hey, I have no clue of who Fresher is. When I just apparently this went viral, the clip went viral, and once the clip went viral, somebody sent me that article and was like, "Man, what do you think about this?" I'm gonna be honest, like, long story short, I think that he need to find a new fiance. Like, I think he need to find a new fiance. Man, let's just talk about it. It was a lot to take away from that article, but y'all let me know y'all thoughts in the comments, right? But let's talk about statistics. I mean, I like statistics, especially when it comes to money. So, do you know that generally the divorce rate is higher the more money you spend on a wedding? Let's just think about that. That's not me. Yeah, yeah, Cardi, my homegirl. She's kind of grew on me too. I know. My daughter was like, "What does that stand for?" I remember when that song came out. I was like, "Nothing. Change the station." But and so let's talk about that clip. So, is a statistic out there, like I said, that generally the more you spend on a wedding, the higher the divorce rate. And so the question is, why? What would cause that? Anybody chime in the comments and just let me know, why do you think, on average, the more people spend on a wedding, the higher the divorce rate is, right? So, and we'll jump back to the who, where's, and what's behind that. But that's is a few things came from this article. The first thing was when his brother said she hasn't worked in years. So I don't know who Fresher is as a rapper or what he does, but presumably he does enough to sustain his lifestyle, her lifestyle, so that she doesn't have to work and hasn't worked for years, right? So that's point number one. Whatever he's doing, he has enough income to hold things down. The other part is like, what's up with like I don't know. I just think it's kind of wild to spend a bunch of money on a wedding if you don't have the money. The reason why the more money you spend on a wedding, the more likelihood that you're gonna have a divorce is because most people who spend a bunch of money on wedding, they're not pulling it out like, oh man, it's not like, oh man, I married a girl. Well, I think the bride's family is supposed to pay for the wedding. Man, please, if my wife's family was supposed to pay for the wedding, we would have got married exactly where we got married at the courthouse. But like, let's just keep it a buck. Most people aren't marrying somebody who the bride's family can flip the bill for 50, 60, 70, $100,000 wedding. That's just not the case. That's not normal. I don't think that's the norm. The other thing is the reason why the divorce rate is so high, the more money you spend, is because people are borrowing that money. They aren't getting it from family members as a wedding gift. They don't got it saved up. Nah, cats are going out borrowing thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to have this big ass immaculate wedding. Then after they get married, they probably go back to their house or their apartment or wherever the hell they stay. Then the bills start coming in, and now they starting out with a bunch of damn debt, so it get a little bit crazy. So those are just, hey man, the courthouse weddings are the best, man. I know. Anytime I'm in court, like if I'm in the clerk's office and I see like a young couple, like I'm talking about a young couple, like the guy got zits on his face and they look so happy and they about to register everything with the clerk's office. I always mess with them. I'll be like, oh, but congratulations. I see y'all just got married. Congratulations. Let me give you my card. I'm a divorce attorney. And they just look at me like I'm crazy. Then I'd be like, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. And clearly they don't find the shit funny, but it is what it is. But I think that's the best way to do it. The reason the divorce rate is so high for people who are spending all this money is because they are borrowing the money. They don't have the money when they get home. Once those bills start coming in to pay for that boiling ass one day, people gonna start arguing. And I say this all the time, and I think this is a true bill. Whatever problems you have in a relationship, if you got money problems, multiply that by two or three or 10. Two or three or 10. Let's just think about it, right? Like let's just think about it. Let's say I'll make the guy the bad guy in this, right? I'm gonna make the guy the bad guy in this situation, right? Let's say a guy is a great provider, right? You don't have to worry about nothing. He goes to work. The bill's always paid. Every time you swipe the card, everything goes through. You never have to worry about anything financial or economically. He's generally a good guy. But this guy goes out and has an affair. Is a strong possibility that that couple, if they want to, they'll have a chance to work it out. The reason being is because, hey, the guy's a good provider. He's probably not the worst guy in the world, and he probably, had a one off. It happens. Hey, it happens. Temptations is an sob sometimes, right? Now let's take the same guy who's a terrible provider. He's always between jobs. This dude ain't got no ends. He's between jobs. He gotta drop you off at work and borrow your car to go hang out back at the house and play video games with his boys. Now I say that because it's some brothers like that. Now, if that guy has an affair, oh man, the effects of that affair are multiplied by 15,000 because he's a terrible provider, he's irresponsible, he's immature. So, people don't realize and understand how much the finances can attribute to the longevity of a relationship. If I'm telling you, whatever your problem is, if you throw a money problem on top of that shit, it's just gonna be like a gazillion times worse. In my opinion, that's kind of my thought. Your sister, you sound like, hey man, I'm not. That was just a hypothetical, right? I don't know. I just I made see I made the guy the bad guy, and now he telling me I'm Captain Save him. I gotta go get my cape out the cleaners. See how people are. It's terrible, man. This is terrible. See, hey, courthouse weddings are where it's at. Like if somebody is like I got married at the courthouse, and I got married at the courthouse in Baltimore City. So like we had to dodge a few vagrants and step over some like fiends to actually get to the courthouse downtown. And like if somebody is like so euphoric in that moment of going in the courthouse, that person genuinely loves you for you because it's damn sure not about your money. And so this is kind of what we did. And I even said this, I said this before I got married, right? I mean, this was years ago, like at the time when me and my wife was just dating. Cause I remember I mentioned it to her roommate. I mentioned it to her roommate years ago, and I was like, "Nah, man, that first wedding, you're not blowing a bunch of dough. You blow a bunch of dough on the vow renewal once you make sure your ends right. Unless you got your ends right, but hey, I was young, broke as hell. So that courthouse wedding, man, y'all should have saw my suit. I got like a wedding picture. It was terrible. I looked at that wedding picture. I was like, man, we look crazy as hell. I had on the suit, looked like I sang in the males chorus at United Zion AME Church. I think I had a tie on from when I used to sing in the chorus as a kid. I look crazy as I don't know what, but that's kind of started at, and then I knew we were gonna do a vow renewal. So 10 years later, when we finally did the vow renewal, hey, a brother worked hard. We worked hard collectively. We got our economic situation a little bit improved, and we had our wedding vow renewal ceremony in the Turks and Caicos. We had some friends and family members come out. It was probably like 12 to 15 people who came out, but it was dope. We was out there. The wedding was a day. We had a couple days where we chilled with everybody. Then the remaining 3 or 4 days we just chilled. And I was really pressed to go to Grand Turks because I was like, oh man, that's what Rick Ross rapped about in that song. Let's see. Hey man, it's nothing wrong with being a guy who plays video games, especially when you are gainfully employed. Like I don't understand that. I've seen and heard in courtrooms and in general discussions women who get mad at guys because they game all the time. And I'm like, hold up, wait. He employed? Okay, check. He not abusive or violent or I'm so check. I was like, he right there. Like you can tell. I think that's the sign of a very mature woman because some women, I don't know why, it's just that video game will bother them. Like I don't know. I mean, you can play video games or you can go to the strip club. Which is your preference? Which would you rather want? Would be my response to that. But you gotta give everybody an out. And if you're a grown ass person who like to play video games, hey, let that person be. Long as they taking care of everything else. Now, if you start borrowing your girl car to drop her off at work and you speed back home because you ain't got nothing to do and you just there eating all the cinnamon toast crunch, I would talk about you. The tag's still on it. Well, you got some utilization out of it. But it's the best thing you can do in any relationship is like two things that people generally hold on to too long are bad relationships and bad investments. So if you can identify that is not the best situation for you and walk away sooner than later, hey, that's always a plus. So, don't necessarily look at that as a bad thing. Oh, you wore your army. You wore your army. Oh, that was real. That was interesting. You wore your army stuff at your wedding. I guess that's a thing. So did you wait? Did you get married? Did you get married like on actual post, or you went off post and got married at the actual courthouse? Or because don't they got something? I feel like I remember seeing soldiers when I was in the army, like in their gear getting married at like the local chapel or something. But it was something they would do quick, kind of like an in and out type of thing. Man, you had your army uniform on. I don't think I got one picture. I don't think I got one picture in my uniform. When I got out, I was so happy to throw all that shit off. I like threw everything in a dumpster. I was like, oh, good riddance. I was like, good riddance to bad rubbish. I was happy as hell. Okay, see, video game. Now it depends because y'all about to get judged. Everybody in here playing games and like video games. Okay, we can all equally agree on that. But the question is, what platform are you on? Are you a Xbox, a PlayStation, or a PC gamer? And if you're a PC gamer, like PC gamers, they arrogant as hell. I'll be like, man, why y'all so arrogant, man? Leave me alone with my own Microsoft products. Like, PC gamers are the most arrogant type of gamers I've ever come across. It's the funniest thing in the world. Oh, okay. You was in training, so you wasn't at your actual duty station yet. Okay. All right. I about to say, because I remember seeing like soldiers on base, and they had a it was like a thing they could do real quick to get married, and it was kind of like a chapel, but it was like a it wasn't a drive-through chapel, but it was something where you can go in, have a little ceremony, take a few pictures, and get the hell out real fast. Hey, they were murdering people like hell in the hallway, man. Because they gotta get it. Well, I don't know, man. I'll tell you, I don't know. I don't know how they did it at every other courthouse, but the courthouse in Baltimore City, as far as courthouse, and hey, I'm somebody who lived in courthouses because I'm an attorney. I see them all the time. This setup for a wedding was actually cool. Like, they had a list, and maybe I don't know, maybe you went during, like, is there a busy season during a wedding? Like, you got married in the summertime or some shit. If you got married in the summertime, it probably was a flock of people in there, a flock of young couples with zits who just graduated, who were really probably excited about marriage and everything. So that was he said that shit went quick. It was like a how long in total was the entire ceremony if you had to estimate in minutes? I'll tell you, in Baltimore, they had a dope setup. You go there and they had a list of magistrates you can select from, and they were denominal. They were based on like if you were a Christian, if you were Muslim, if you were whatever your denomination was, you can select the magistrate in that denomination. Then they would come out, and it wasn't in a hallway or a booth. They had like a formal room set up that looked like a chapel. They had flowers and everything, and the guy would go up there. They had pews right there with people in the audience. You can invite your friends and everybody to sit in. So for a courthouse wedding, hey, Baltimore City, y'all courthouse wedding was probably like top of the game for courthouse weddings. Cause I can remember I came in there with my little choir rehearsal suit. I came in there with my little choir rehearsal suit. I was so proud. And the venue looked like you were in a church. So it wasn't like it wasn't too crazy, you know what I mean? It was real structured, and they had it organized to make you get that feeling like this is a special moment. It wasn't like a drive-through window or nothing like that. I don't own the system, but the last time I played Xbox and smoked on Madden, yeah, with him because he was the game where he's supposed to be spending time together. Well, okay. First of all, I already like you because of your content and you're cool. But the fact that it was Xbox is cool. The fact that you were playing Madden is cool. The fact that you actually beat like, I would have ended the relationship if you beat me in Madden. I'd have been like, you know what? This ain't working out. like, I'm that sensitive. I got some. It's somebody in the chat right now who I need to get a rematch against from a game we played long as hell ago, and they won't give it to me. But that's a whole nother discussion. Now, okay, it depends on, and I don't know. I'm assuming if he was on the game, it had to be like something that's like completely excessive. So I can understand that if it's okay, I'm you on this gaming system and we supposed to be spending time together, or if it's hey, you busy with work and school, I'm busy with work and school. When we got this little bit of moment together, but we can actually hang out, spend time. Let's spend some time together. If it's something like that, I can kind of rationalize it and understand. 15 to 20 minutes, man, that's a good time for a courthouse wedding. Y'all had like a little venue, and y'all had like a little venue, or just like y'all was at the cashier's office of like a bank and there was somebody through the window. Cause I seen some where you just go through a line. It's like self-checkout and shit. You just go through a line and you go up to a window and they like, okay, sign this certificate. Do you do this next? And so I'm assuming you probably had a structure that was something like that, which is that's wild. 15 or 20 minutes is fast though. Filling out the paperwork took longer. He said, "Facts, man." But you know what they say, man? Marriage license is the only license you'll ever get that won't expire. Yeah, that was fast, man. Hey man, you gotta give me my rematch, man. Like, I don't care, man. We gonna be 65 years old. I don't care if we were in middle school. Were we in middle school? We probably was. It was like no high school because it probably was like 98 or something. But whatever it was, I'm old as hell. Whatever it was, you gonna give me my rematch, bro. I don't care if it's now. I don't care if it's in the metaverse on the Oculus. I don't care if we go outside. I ain't gonna play no real football game. These knees, these knees ain't gonna be able to deal with it. That's crazy. That I don't know. That's I don't know. I think that's crazy that like I don't know how much is what is the average gamer hours if you're in a relationship? Because I tell you this is how I game, and I've probably gamed this way. I probably gamed this way for a long time. I definitely since I've been married. I probably haven't played a video game in shit months. Now I play the Oculus. I hop on there and go in the metaverse and play some football so I can relive my youthful years. But typically, what I do is like I don't play consistently. If if a new game comes out, like if I got Madden, Call of Duty, whatever the new game is that's out that I got, I'll probably go on like a 60-day period where whenever I got some free time, I'm on now. Or when okay, all right, everybody sleep. These little kids can't bother me. Wife can't, bother me. I'll sit down and play. But I normally play in like 60 to 90-day intervals. I get a new game, then there's maybe a couple month period where the game is just hot. Where the game is hot, so I'm constantly on it. Then after that 45 to 60-day period where I'm like, okay, I know what I'm doing now. I could go online, smack heads, do what I need to do. Then I play it less sporadically. So I don't know. That's actually a good question. Like, what? That's a good question. What is the amount of time that people are gaming for gamers who are in relationship? Because I would like to think like low key, like I actually with my wife play video games. Like, man, our relationship would be even stronger. Like, hey, honey, you trying to play this Madden? Like I said, unless she beat me, then it's gonna be a problem. I'm gonna be like, nah, I ain't taking out the trash. You take out the trash. But that's a good question to know. Like, how often are people gaming in relationships when you got two gamers? Because I would like to think if both of y'all gamers, that seemed like it would be a damn match made in heaven to me. I walked there, filled out the paperwork, then went out the hallway, got married, and then went back in the office and sat. That was crazy, man. That joke was in and out, man. So you didn't have like a did you have like, when you get married, I think most people they have this moment where you're standing there and the vows are being said and you like, damn, like, yeah, this is real. You may get a little emotional. Your eyes may well up, but guys, you ain't gonna cry. Women may cry. Did it happen so fast? Did you even have that moment where you sat back and was able to realize, like, oh man, this is a this is a wedding. I'm about to do this. Like, and this license don't expire. Like, did you even have that moment, or was it just so fast that they was like, damn, it like you got in the car and was like, I'm married. Like you didn't have that actual moment of clarity where it kind of hits you. Because I feel like that's a consistent you have. But yeah, that's cool. I like that idea. Just waiting a few days to kind of let things marinate. But it all depends, though. I know. I've been to weddings and like, oh man, this is beautiful. And like 3 months later, they be like, ah man, it ain't work out. Sometimes it happens. That's just kind of that's just kind of what it is. Oh, it hit you once you got back. Damn. So you didn't even get to get it in that moment. Like this sound weird as hell, and I know this ain't gonna make no sense, but like I had that moment the first time I got married, but it hit me, but it didn't hit me. But 10 years later, renewing the vows, and I think it was because the moment was like a real moment, in that courthouse situation, it was so rushed and we just going through the process and the paperwork. So I felt it, but for me, I felt it when I did that vow renewal ceremony, and they was playing that music, and I'm walking down with my crusty ass toes in the sand with my I had a linen, I had like on a linen little shirt with some linen pants with the chest open with my taco meat hanging out of my hanging out of my shirt, and the wind was blowing through. I felt like at that moment it really hit me because I think it was like it was just different, it was like, like family, friends there. When I was at the courthouse, I didn't know all them damn people. It was just me. I was like, hey, I know you, you know me. Let's do this, girl. Come on. But in that moment, I felt like it hit me because it was like a real moment. It was that moment of, oh man, this is the wedding that I guess people think about and women dream about having these fairy tale type of weddings. So I felt it really in that moment at the courthouse. Like I said, it hit me, but it didn't hit me that much. Hey, I, I tell people all the time, right? I actually made this joke. You know who was at my wedding? My son. My son was a little guy. He was like little, like maybe a month or something, month or two old. A month. Yeah, he was maybe a month old at our wedding. That's just kind of how it was. So whatever age my son is, that's the age. So yeah, I think that's the normal way. I was actually just having this conversation. Uh and it's funny because one of my homegirls told me, I wonder of children who are born to married couples, what are the percentages that both children were born when the parents were actually married? Because I said, I don't think that's the norm. And she was like, nah, I'm oldest and my parents weren't married when I was born, but they got married, and then her brother came along, and so forth. And so I was like, okay. Well, that did me being a jerk. I was like, okay, you little bastard. But nah, it was a joke. But I was like, nah, it was the same way. My that's how it was with my older brother. Hey, that's how it was with me and my son. So I don't know. I just think I tend to think that that's probably the normal. Probably statistically, I don't know. I'm gonna have to look that up. But I think statistically, that's probably not uncommon. You got a couple, if you got a couple with multiple kids, what are the percentage of couples who had multiple kids during the time of that marriage? And what is the percentage who may have had one child before they were married, then they had that subsequent child later? Yeah, yeah. I was like, yeah, that second time I felt it, man. I was like, no, I wasn't crying, but yeah, the second time I felt it because it was just the whole process and the whole show and the whole nine. But to get to the point, $250,000 on a wedding, I just think that's crazy. I'll be honest, I think that's crazy even if you got it. Like, how great of a wedding do a person need? You want like white turtle doves flying, and you want boys to men singing at your wedding, and you want like TD Jakes to do the ceremony. Like 250 racks is crazy. I'm gonna agree with this rapper, Fresher or whatever his name is. I'm gonna agree with him. It's far better to invest that money. That being said, I mean, hey, I'm not telling nobody what to do in their relationship, but man, the way that she was talking, reading that article, oh man, what? I would have to dodge that bullet. That sound like it's gonna be a big ass problem in my book. I mean, damn, just because the dude want to invest the money and not spend it on a wedding, you call him a broke boy, and she said she not a courthouse bitch and all this other stuff. And I'd have been like, you know what else you are? Not married, bitch, and just walk out. I just walked out and left. But yeah, this dude looked like I don't know, man. If they get married, I don't know, man. I think it's gonna be an expiration to that. Hey, 8 kids is cool to have. That's a lot of kids, though. I remember you said that in your video. You wanted 9 kids, and like, hey, like three was like the magic number for me. I was like, three is cool. 3 kids, that's cool. You got a little. When you talk about 8, 9 kids, you like Theo, Vanessa, Denise, Rudy, the cousin, like you beating the Cosby. That's a huge family, and it's dope. It's dope to have that huge family. Um, I don't know. I think it's dope to have that huge family because I don't know, it's cool to have a lot of people around you in the house. That's one of the things that is dope about having a house that's not so big. Like when you're in a smaller house, everybody is kind of around each other. And at one point, probably when the kids are younger, it's probably a little bit more annoying. But as you mature, you kind of come to appreciate that close. Like right now, I'm at a point where like I don't want to go on a vacation without the kids. My wife be like, "Oh, we should go someplace together," and I'm like, "Nah, man, let's just bring the kids with us because I know that shit is about to come to an end." Like my son is gonna be a senior next year. And if he anything like me, once I went to college, I was like, bye mom, bye dad. I ain't been back at the house since. And so because I know that the days where we're just all together and can all do things gonna be coming to an end, they're gonna be less often. They're gonna be few and far between now because he's gonna go out and get his own life. So now I find myself, I thought I would have been like, man, oh y'all get the hell out and now me and my wife, we're gonna go out and party like we ain't got no kids, like we did back in the day. But it's actually the opposite. They're getting older, and I find myself trying to hold on to them closer and pull them closer because I know that eventually they're gonna be gone, and that's just going all that shit is gonna be a memory. She is single. Hey man, I'm agreeing with that comment, man. When you show me a red flag like that, I think you just gotta take that, capitalize on it, count your blessings, cut your losses, and get out there as soon as you can, as quick as you can. Yeah, 9 kids is like. See, my thing is like, I don't know, like I, maybe this is just me, and maybe it's because I'm just so like I always like crunch numbers. Like I literally, this sound crazy as hell, but when my son was born, I was like, oh man, we can't have another kid. We got to have them at least 4 years apart because I don't want to pay two daycare costs. That shit gonna cost too much. Because I had a brief period where there was some overlap, and I lie to you not, the cost of daycare was more than what our mortgage was on the house. I was like, why am I going to work? I was like, I could just stay home and watch the kids, or she could stay home and watch the kids because all we were doing was giving somebody a whole damn paycheck to the daycare people. So I don't know, like it's weird because I think mathematically, let me pull it up because I don't want to lie, but I want to say to raise a kid from like birth to age 18 is something crazy. I mean, the numbers is just ridiculous. That's funny. That's the first thing that popped up. Cost to raise a child to 18. I bet you a lot of scared brothers put that up. From the day your baby is born until the day they turn 18, your family will spend about $310,000 or about $17,000 a year, according to a new Brooklyn institution analysis of data from the U.S. Agricultural Department. And this was done in October. Now, okay, even though we know that, even though I got that number, and even though I got that number, and I'm reading those numbers, we know, like, I know damn well. How can I put this? I'm not gonna say I know damn well, but I feel like I was a. Do y'all think y'all was a $17,000 a year child? I feel like I was a lot less than a $17,000 a year child. Like that may be. I'm talking about health costs, healthcare costs, food, clothes, all of that stuff. I feel like I was a lot less than $17,000 per year child, especially being the second child. Because like I would say probably half of my, probably 60% of my clothes were hand me downs from my brother. So I felt like that probably brought me down to about the 14. That probably brought me down to about the $15,000 range. So I don't know, but the cost of children is an expensive thing. But you know, if you plan it out, and you know, sometimes those numbers aren't numbers that just kind of come to fruition. Because like I said, you got 9 kids, y'all all playing. But and it depends though, because I knew some of my partners who grew up who had siblings, and on the holidays when they got a video game system, they each got their own video game system. I was like, what own video game system? That's and crazy as hell. Well, nah, when we got they was like, look, we're gonna get this video game system. two controllers. Y'all better share that one controller back and forth. I can remember doing that. Like, all right, man, it's my turn to play the Super Nintendo. Like, so I feel like there's ways you could cut those costs and mitigate costs, especially when you got older siblings and younger siblings, because they all using the same stuff. So I don't know if that $310,000 is a pure number that it would actually cost. And I always hear the middle child has the hardest road. Well, I don't know. Every middle child has taught me that. Everybody I know who's a middle child said, like, man, being the middle child was kind of the worst because the firstborn is, and then the baby is the baby, and you just you. Like, so a lot of the stories I hear is from people who are that middle child. Like, that's the toughest position to be in. But the cost of children, like, hey, 310 $17,000 a year from birth to 18, 2 to 3 is a good number. I feel like 2 to 3 is a really good number, is a round number. We had two, and then I wanted to have a third, right? And this was, I'm trying to think, how old was I? I was probably maybe 34. I was maybe 34 at the time, and I was like, oh, I think I want to have another kid. And actually, my homeboy, he older than me, but who told me the griefs of a middle child, he was the one who was like, man, when he broke it down to me this way, and I did the math, I was like, you're right. I think I'm good. He's like, man, you want to have another child? He's like, how old are you now? I was like 34, 35, whatever I was. He's like, add 18 years to that. And I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? You're right. But that's the thing though. When you're talking about wedding costs and having children, I think there's a benefit on both sides. Like, I got a homegirl and her husband who are having their first child, and they're in their mid to late 30s. Whereas me, when I had my first child, I was like 25. But there's a trade-off. Hey, when I'm 48, when I'm 48, hey, I'm gonna still the boy gonna still be relatively young. I'm gonna have a little bit of gas, a little juice left in the tank. Kids gonna be grown, so I can enjoy things. But those 25 through like 31, 32 years, man, those are some struggle years, man. Those are some struggle ass years financially. Those are some struggle years of personal growth and development, learning how to make sure you be the best husband you can be, the best father you can be, juggle work. Like, that age of 30 through, like, actually was just listening to a podcast about this, but 30 to about 48 is like most times is the most stressful time in most people's lives because they like to call it the messy middle. From 30 to 48, you got house purchases, car purchases, kids, school, education costs. So what'll happen from a financial standpoint when you're in your 20s, you may not be making no money, but when you get your first job, that's the most money you ever made. So you got a lot of income. When you get to your 30s, from 30 to 48, is that time where your expenses catch up and a lot of times exceeds your income. And that shit don't go down statistically until you are in your late 40s because okay, the kids are getting grown now. Maybe they don't need as much. They might have got a scholarship for college. So all of those things come down. So I always tell people like that age, the messy middle from age 30 to your late 40s is always is a pivotal time for just you as a person for personal development because you're really learning who you are during that time frame, but it's also a pivotal time just from a financial standpoint because that's you're going to have the most expenses. Most people on average are going to have the most financial responsibilities that they'll ever have in life from 30 to 48. That's just kind of how it works. So that could be a little interesting. Man, don't be speaking that on me, man. That third one, please. I had that third one now. It's gonna be a miracle, baby. Be like, man, what? You're like, nah, we definitely ain't doing that, man. No. Yo, that's hilarious. My child's father was 50 when we had our daughter. Did I check out of these and make sure he was fit? Yes. Like, yeah. Hey. But that's the, I mean, that's the thing though. Is, it's funny because I was on a live the other day, and my guy Wolverine was on that live as well. And it was a weird ass conversation and a weird ass talking topic. But the point was, it was about the sister. She said she she said she said something to the effect of, I feel like she read a statistic or article that says something like, men have no obligation to get married because they're getting all of the benefits of marriage. So why get married? So she said something like she felt like she should hold something back to save it, as this is a marriage privilege, which I don't know. I thought that was the weirdest thing, and it didn't make any damn sense to me. And the reason it didn't make any sense to me was because I just, my response was, do y'all expect like I think a woman would look at a guy crazy if he held something back, or that, and say, "Oh, nah, that's a marriage privilege." And an example I gave is, if me and you go out to the movies and the guy slap you on your ass and call you a B, you're gonna look at me and expect me to punch him in the face. But if I looked at you and said, "No, I only protect my mother and my wife, and you are not married to me, so that is, you have girlfriend privileges, not marriage privileges," that sounds crazy as hell. And so it immediately turned to, well, when you talk about withholding thing, the main thing that comes up is sex. And I said, that's crazy to do. I said, why would you do that? Because the older you get, when you said your child's father was 50 years old, it makes sense because women like guys who, not all the time, but most times, they like comfort, consistency, people who are more established. So presumably, the older you get, the more assets you have, the more attractive that men are probably going to be to women. That's just how it is. Like, if only I knew what I knew now when I was in my 20s, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, you can't you I mean, that's just kind of that's kind of thing. I think that's common. You're gonna find most older guys with younger women. Me, I don't know. Yeah, I thought that was a crazy method. Like, I don't know, you with somebody, you give them the best of you, they give you the best of them. Now y'all got all the information to make an informed decision. Like, what are you going to withhold from the relationship? Cooking? Like, oh, I only cook for my husband, so I'm just supposed to date you for all this time and can't find out if you're gonna make me a meal to the day of the wedding? That sounds crazy as hell. I was like, I don't know, man. That's crazy as hell, man. We gotta put some realistic things and expectations on life, finances, marriage, relationships. We can't just live in this fairy tale realm where I mean, life just doesn't. I don't know. I don't think life happens that way. And it's funny because I was actually, explaining this to someone. Like, I guess the other thing that, when you talk about, it was funny because the other thing that came up about money and relationships, and I don't know, I never thought this way. I don't think guys, and there probably a few guys out there, but I've never dated a girl, even when I was dating my wife or talking. I never dated a girl, and if she was cool and thought like, man, we could get married, and together the both of us can have a great social economic status and get a real big house with a white picket fence. Guys, guys don't give a damn about a woman's, when and maybe when they're a little bit older. If you talk about a guy who's in his like 30s, 40s, or maybe 40s or 50s, maybe. But generally, I feel like women tend to look at men when they want to get married, and they take into consideration the economic power of that relationship and the future trajectory of it. Like, I think that's just, and I think it's normal. I don't think it's not normal. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I think it's normal for a woman to say, "Oh man, this guy's cool, and okay, he got a good career. We can aspire to do this." Guys, I don't think generally we think like that. This sounds crazy. I know a guy. I told my homegirl this. She like, I know a guy who married a woman who he met while he was volunteering at a homeless shelter, and they've been married for like 25 years. Like, but guys are like that. Guys will be like, "What?" You could be at the soup kitchen. You'll be like, "Why are you at this soup kitchen? Are you volunteering? You live here." You too fine to live here. Come on, we gonna work. Guys tend to think like that, and just more so. I think that's funny. Yeah, I agree. I thought that method is crazy. Don't be holding nothing back, because when that guy insults you in public, yeah, you gotta, yeah, you got wait, right. What if you could cook, but you don't know how to season the food to my liking? Or I got high blood pressure, and you putting so much goddamn Emerald's essence in the damn food, you making my blood pressure rise. So I agree, man. You got to start doing all that stuff for the front end. Yeah, no, man. I think it's just like I think the interesting thing though in that video, it's funny because my homegirl watched it and was giving me some feedback on it, but I think that she understands and realizes that she kind of had a little romanticized view of relationships. You know what I mean? All that, yo, man, come on. You don't think guys like, yeah, like, would you? It's no way. Do y'all think a woman would be volunteering at a soup kitchen and meet a handsome guy who she's giving a bowl of Campbell's chunky soup to and be like, damn, this guy's handsome. He got real potential. I could turn him into one hell of a man. Hell no. Ain't, ain't no, is no woman in the world who will say that like no. I just don't see that. But I think that's common because guys don't care. I think guys generally care less about a woman's economic situation. Generally, not all the time, but I think generally guys care less about a woman's economic situation and what her economic trajectory is in the future. Nah, man, you kind of fine. You not crazy. You don't get on my nerves that much. You supportive. Okay, she cool. That's how guys think. I think for the most part we real simple. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know, like, yeah, soup kitchen. But yeah, and it was funny because he was like, "Oh man," like everybody was like clowning me and everything. And now he's told me the story. It wasn't like he was like, "Hey, I'm ending my volunteer service for the day," and then just grabbed her hand and walked out. Like, nah, he told me the story because I was like, "Man, how you hook up with the lady who was at the soup kitchen that you were serving food at? That's a little wild." You know what I mean? Like, no, it was a whole process, and it started out with him like helping her get a job in this job program and all of this stuff. And she actually worked her way to where she got a job, got herself together, got up out the soup kitchen. Hashtag soup kitchen bay. Hey. Hey, soup kitchen bay, man. If you can find your soup kitchen bay and finagle that into a 20-year good functioning marriage, hey, salute to you. That's a big deal, man. That's a big deal. Yeah, it could happen, but I think is a much more likelihood that a guy is going to find a soup kitchen bay than a woman finding a soup kitchen bay. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of did, but the relationship only lasted for a week. Yeah, yeah, I can see that because I mean, and I don't think I feel like you're a little bit more objective, just from I mean your comments and watching you in your lives and other live streams. I feel like you're a little bit more objective than probably some women tend to be, but nah. I know because I don't know. I feel like the first thing is gonna be like, how'd you end up in this soup kitchen? What happened to your financial situation? Like it'll be so many questions, and that was one of the other things. That was one of the other things. I just think historically, if you look at a list of qualities that people want in like a spouse or a significant other, a guy gonna have his shit written on a napkin. A woman gonna have her shit written on a scroll. she gonna have to unroll it. I hereby do declare that he should be a squire taller than 6'2". It's gonna be all these crazy requirements on that scroll. So and that was one of the things I told her. I said when you have all these requirements, you just kind of boxing yourself out. And it's funny because the one of the most important requirements aside from finances is oh, he broke up with you? Oh man, that's interesting now. See, that's gotta be a live. You need to do a live on what happened with that whole situation because now I got questions. I like, okay, you had a situation like that and he broke up with you. Like, I'm about to tell you right now. I don't get upset easily, but if I'm volunteering at like a soup kitchen and I snatch up a soup kitchen bay, and after you get yourself together with my help and input, you break up with me, I'll be mad as hell. I don't know. Isn't that justified to be mad? Y'all don't think so? Like oh man, like it's. I mean, let's okay. Even if you just meet a normal person, Matt in the soup kitchen, in some normal environment where you typically tend to meet people at, both of you presumably are going to contribute and encourage each other to do better. And if that doesn't work out, you kind of accept it, right? But if I'm like volunteering at a homeless shelter and I'm working with a young sister there, a sister there who got potential, and she ends up fighting her way out of that situation, getting out of the homeless shelter, getting the job. As I'm kind of supporting her and pushing her through this process, we build this relationship up, and then like you had the audacity to look and be like, you know what? Hey, I appreciate your efforts. Back when you was feeding me that gruel at the homeless shelter, but I don't think this is gonna work out. I'm gonna be livid. Yeah, I don't know, man. I would be so livid. And I'd be really hot, man. I would be so livid and hot. Like I feel like I don't know. Like I feel like you would have to have a really good reason to like just break up with me after going through all that. Because I think that's one of the reasons why their relationship is so strong. Though. I mean, just think about it. This dude gave her. I mean, I think she feels some obligation. Like this dude is really responsible for saving her life. Let's just be realistic. If you at a point where you in a homeless shelter as an adult, it could be a lot of things. It could be mental health issues. It could be economic issues. It could be substance abuse issues. Whatever the issues may or may not have been, whatever those issues were, though, even though we don't know, but whatever those issues were, I feel like that a part of the reason why that relationship lasts and is so strong and they've been together 20 years is I think she understands like, damn, if it wasn't for this dude really saved my life. You know what I mean? So that's kind of my thoughts. But yeah, I'd be hot if I snatch up a soup kitchen bay and you had the nerve to leave me. I'm like, you leaving me after all that gruel I fed you? I'd be irate. she said, she said, she said I can do better. Bitch, I met you in the soup kitchen. That's like that's terrible. He upgraded her. That she about to upgrade his ass. That's cold blooded, man. It's a cold world out here, man. Okay, he offered up fast aid to help me get a laptop and archives. I need a laptop. That's nice to do. That's nice to do. That is, hey, that's nice to do. I know when I was dating my wife before we got married, I gave her money so she can buy a car. She wanted to buy this car, and she's like, "Oh, I ain't got it." You know how when you're in the military, people got cars and they leaving, they don't want to take their car with them, or they got a new car. And I was like, "Yeah, it's all good. I front you the money." But I'll tell you, part of that was because soon as I say that, everybody like this old simp, this dude, he's simping. He gave her money. I was like, "Man, please." She's stationed at this unit for the next 2 years. I wish she would not pay me. Like, I wish you would not give me my money back, but I don't know. That's crazy. But yeah, so hey, that's it. I want to just jump on here, talk about a few things that I know I wasn't gonna make it to talk about through the week. So hey, everybody minimum wage has gone up in 23 states. So that's bottom line takeaway number one. Takeaway number two, yo, Cardi B is right. Inflation is terrible, but prices aren't going up because of inflation. Prices are going up because some rich guy in a suit who runs a corporation is taking advantage of an opportunity to jack up the prices. And I understand that completely. See? I understand that completely. And three, if your woman cusses you out and degrades you because instead of paying excessive amount of money, whatever an excessive amount of money may be for you in your situation for a wedding, you may want to proceed with caution. That's the biggest takeaway. Hey man, I appreciate it, sis. Hey man, I'm not a simp, man. Come on now, man. Hey, she needed a car, man. I was just being a nice guy. I was being a nice guy. Like, hey. Yeah, like I will say that was the first time I ever did that, and so hey, I feel like that doesn't make me a simp. Okay, like yeah, I gave a girl some money to get a car, but she paid me back, and subsequently years later we ended up getting married. So like I don't know, I feel like I would be a simp if I gave her the money for the car, and then she got the car and she fucking went to some soup kitchen that was driving some homeless dude around in the car while I'm sitting there looking at him drive by. I'd be mad as hell. I would be mad as hell. So I like to think that maybe reduces the simplicity. I think that reduces the simplicity of that conduct because we subsequently got married, and the only person driving around in the car was me. But if she would have been driving around Soup Kitchen Bay in the car, I would have been in nomination for the Simp of the Year award, definitely. That's funny. And I'm using the car for mostly. Okay, yeah, 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 yeah. And I've used the car for yeah, yeah. That nah, man. Like she was, hey, it was cool. It was cool. It worked out. Nah, of course, man. It's cool, man. But you can't do anything for people. Like, I don't know. That's just kind of how society is. Like, they anything that you do to somebody, they kind of take it as being soft. But yeah, shout out to Soup Kitchen Bay. And, hey, it happens very few and far between, but they out there. Y'all take care. Y'all have a good night. I'm out. Peace.